keep forgetting I mute myself when I log in. Do me a favor and type your names in the chat box for me for attendance. I'm trying to pull up this, and hopefully can get it done in less than 2 seconds. Pull up this form so you guys can do the thing for this week. Oh, Microsoft annoys me running so slow. Oh, well, we'll worry about it. I'll email you guys the link after we finish. Because Microsoft is running slow. I don't know. The form itself is not even coming up. So I'm not sure what's going on there, and I'm not going to worry about it. We have about 30 seconds. Ooh, where's my phone so I can get my Good afternoon, Sierra and Sister Thompson. Today we're going to be learning about learning styles and how do you learn best if you know your learning style good. If not, hopefully you will learn it today. There is a link that I want to post. That I want to post for people that want to go and learn their learning style. There we go. I can't find the, something's going on with the Microsoft form that you guys filled out last week. So when I get that, when I can figure out what's going on with that, I'll send everybody an email to fill out the survey form for watching today. But today we will be talking about learning styles. How does everyone learn best? And without further ado, we will get going. And anything, if you have questions, put them in the chat box. And I will check them when we get to the question screen. I'm moving around some things you guys can't see so I can see better. There we go. My internet connection is currently unstable, so turn off your cameras and mute your microphones. And let's hope nothing happens again today. We've been having some really quirky issues the last couple of weeks. So learning styles, how do you learn best? And y'all been patient, but everybody is now started playing with it over the weekend. So this is my first Bitmoji Classroom. It's going to be a little more elaborate, and I'll make some new ones each week, but this was my first one. I thought it was actually pretty cool to do. So that's my Bitmoji Classroom. Who is Dr. King? You two already know who I am, but I have to go through this every week anyway. 34-year resident of Duncanville, Texas. I have lived in the 800 link community for 18 years. I am a wife and mother. Educationally, I'm a graduate of Duncanville High School. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Texas Permian Basin, a master's degree in organizational management from the University of Phoenix, and an education doctorate in sports management from North Central University. Me, big servant leader, as far as I'm concerned. So my servant leadership roles are 25 plus years working in corporate America in various industries and various positions. 12 years working in higher education, teaching business, management, leadership, human resources, social sciences, humanities, motivation, and professional development courses. 12 years as a girls grassroots basketball coach for the Lady Panthers Girls Basketball Association, 12 years working as a parent volunteer as Ed.D. I've served as a president and vice president of PTA for 6 years. I've served in various roles for So we've had our first faux pas. Apparently it disconnected again. I don't know what is going on with Zoom, but we're going to start back where we were. I hadn't progressed from the Who is Dr. King slide. So this is the second slide. What TI Communities Pillars does this presentation focus on? The first one is education always, and then the second one will always be community building. Who would this presentation benefit? Actually, you guys are not seeing this screen. Hold on, let me reshare the screen. My apologies. Getting this. Let's go back to current slide. My apologies that you guys were not, I wasn't sharing again. It disconnected, which I hope it wouldn't have done, but it did. So back to screen sharing. What TI Communities Pillars does this presentation focus on? It focuses on education. Sierra, do me a favor and block your microphone for me. Mute your microphone for me. And then community building is the other pillar. I'm trying to cut off as much stuff as possible to stop this internet from being janky. Presentation benefit. The presentation benefits anyone wishing to determine how they learn best with children and teens. Oh, this is becoming really annoying, y'all. It keeps disconnecting. Let me go back to sharing. Okay, and we're back again. Let's hope this doesn't disconnect again. With adults, determining how one learns becomes part of an aha moment, but also enhances how information is absorbed and effectively and efficiently used throughout one's career. First question for this week is, do you know your basic learning style? And I had 17 people respond. Okay, I'm getting another internet connection unstable. This is really starting to annoy me. But I had 17 people respond. 16 said yes, they do know their basic learning style, and one person said no. Of the 16 that responded to question 1, I asked them if they knew, your learning style. To complete question 2, and question 2 is, if you know your basic learning style, what is it? 7 said that they were visual learners. 7 said that they were kinesthetic learners, and then 2 said that they were auditory. Actually, what is a learning style? As early as 34 BC, Aristotle said that each child possessed specific talents and skills, and he noticed individual differences in young children. So that was kind of the basics of knowing that, kids learn differently, which means people learn differently. Style is defined as the preferential way in which the student absorbs, processes, comprehends, and retains information. Each person is born with certain tendencies, particular styles, but these biological or inherited characteristics are influenced by culture, personal experiences, maturity level, and development. There are 3 basic categories of learning styles. The first are auditory learners, who learn better by hearing. The second is kinesthetic learners, who learn better by doing. They're also the third basic style are visual learners, and they learn better by seeing. And the benefits of knowing your learning style and knowing your preferred learning style is because students' preferred learning modes have significant influence on their behavior in learning. A lot of the issues that go on with school, I believe, and this is just my hypothesis, that I believe is because a lot of the behavior problems, we always say, kids are bad, these are bad kids, but I think a lot of it is they're not understanding and not grasping the information by the current delivery method that the teacher is using. And instead of saying something, you know, people getting embarrassed, so they're not going to say anything. That, you know, they're going to make another issue out of it. So that's where a lot, I think, in my opinion, that's where some school behavioral issues come from, is because, you know, students don't know the way they learn best, and instead of saying something, they're just acting out. And then students' preferred learning modes should be matched with appropriate learning strategies, kind of goes with that. You know, when you learn, or when a teacher learns how, you know, the different methods of their learning, the different learning styles of their students, my apologies, I think they will do better with tailoring how they deliver information. You know, if you're verbal videos and graphs and pictures, not verbal, if you're visual, graphs and videos and pictures and things like that, or, you know, work better to help students grasp the information. If you're auditory, once again, you can also use videos, but like, you know, talking, lectures, you know, recorded, you know, music, things like that will help with students that are auditory. With students that are hands-on, like myself, I'm kinesthetic. I'm what they call tactile kinesthetic. I have to have a book or, you know, notes in my hand. I just can't see something online or hear something. Yes, I can learn those ways, but if you really want me to grasp that information, put a book in my hand, let me print out some stuff, let me get a pen and a highlighter. So to me as a teacher, the modes are matched. The appropriate learning strategies are work better when you can grasp your students in all those different ways. You know, just not forcing them to, you know, sit there and listen to a lecture for an hour when they may just want to see a video, you know. So that you have to be able to reach your students in every way that they learn best, and that'll kind of cut down, in my opinion, on some of the behavioral issues in class. And then information that is accessed through students' use of their modality preferences shows an increased level in their levels of comprehension, motivation, and metacognition. Metacognition is basically the way you individually learn best, or the way we all individually learn best. So once again, it works with the first and second bullet points. When you know how you learn best, you comprehend that information better. It motivates you to want to learn more. Once again, it's all cyclical. It all works together. And with metacognition, once again, metacognition is basically a big word that just understandably says how you learn best, how you individually learn best. So the first one, learner, let's get more with the visual learning style. In terms of auditory learners, who learns by hearing and listening. They store information by the way it sounds, have an easier time understanding spoken instruction than written ones. And then the use of music, sound, and rhyme are the ways that they learn best. A lot of auditory learners are, you know, are real big into music. You know, they like listening to music because they can listen to the lyrics, you know, listen to the way the music flows with the lyrics. So, you know, if you have an auditory learner, a lot of times they're gonna, like my daughter's an auditory learner. And we learned that early on, you know, years ago when she was in elementary school. And once I let her teachers know that every year, and I'm getting another internet connection unstable, so let's see what happens. But once we learned she was an auditory learner, I was able to let her teachers know that. And, you know, when she took things like tests and stuff like that, they were able to help her by, you know, putting her in situations that will help her best. You know, she wasn't, sometimes some teachers would give her a little like PVC tube, and she could, you know, read the questions to herself or whisper them to herself, and she understood them more. So, you know, it was just, it helped her a lot once her teachers realized what her learning style was, you know. And then a great career option for auditory learners, like I said, they tend to be in the music industry and industries like that. So there'll be singer-songwriters, musicians, music teachers, music producers, but also, you know, it makes sense. Auditory learners are good for being judges and lawyers, because once again, they listen. They listen to cases and decide, you know, and argue and things like this. Load educators, LOTE, that's the new word for foreign language teachers. It is languages other than English. So the LOTE educators are good auditory learners. Linguists, which makes common sense. That's what a linguist does. Linguists are the ones that listen to the inflections and things of that when people are speaking, you know, to decipher and pick apart different languages. An interpreter would be good for an auditory learner. A speech pathologist would be good. Engineer would be good. Athlete and a coach, and those that work in customer service for, you know, no other apparent reason other than their job is to listen. But and it makes sense, you know, if you look at what these people do in these positions, being an auditory learner actually helps them. And another word for auditory learner is oral learner. Second one is the kinesthetic learner, which is also the physical learner in layman's terms. Kinesthetic learners learn doing and are hands-on. Kinesthetic learners like to get their hands dirty and use things to learn with. You know, they have, like I said, have to have a book in their hand or use flashcards, or they use some type of tool or prototype or a computer. They have to have something in their hands. You just can't tell us something. We learn by doing. So a great career option for those that are kinesthetic learners are engineers and manufacturers for, you know, common sense reasons. They like to build, they like to draw, things like that. Gardener or landscaper, you know, once again, they using their hands to plant, you know, and cut grass and, you know, things like that. An athlete and a coach, common sense reason. Clothing designer, anybody that's in any type of technical education or vocational careers, your welders, cosmetologists, auto mechanics, plumbers, electricians. Those are all CTE, what they call career technical ed courses, careers, I mean. Those that are mariners, that are dock workers, you know, people that work for the ports, for the United States Port Authority, you know, they use their hands. Educators use their hands. So these are all things. And my third topic, which I missed, was that we communicate with hand gestures, as you see me doing now. So kinesthetic learners, we learn by doing. We can, you know, hear, we can see, but we learn by doing. The third basic one is a visual learner, who is also considered a spatial learner. In layman's terms, a visual learner is one who learns by seeing. They prefer using images, pictures, colors, maps, and other visual media to learn and organize information, as well as communicate with others. Now, this doesn't mean, once again, that any one of these three learning styles are, you know, they're independent of each other. If you're visual, you can't learn by auditory means or kinesthetic means, or vice versa. That's not what that means. This just means that either you're, you know, visual learning or kinesthetic learning or auditory learning, you have a that you learn best, but the other ones also work with you. And great career options for a visual learner, of course, would be a visual artist, an architect, photographers, video and film producers, designers, strategic planners. You know, those are your civic engineers, you know, the ones that, you know, people that build bridges, you know, people that go out and design neighborhoods to put housing subdivisions in. That's kind of what strategic planning is. Things like that, you know, people who build boats, you know, strategic planning is a huge umbrella for a lot of things. Navigation, these could be your ship captains, people that work in the military, in the Navy. You know, there's once again, a huge plethora of positions that come under navigation. You have engineering design, which are very good spatial learners. Manufacturing, you know, and if you realize that some of these positions are also listed on the other learning style slides. So they all work together. It's just that because of your preferred learning style, these are, you know, these are some, and this is just not all, these are just examples of some of the things that a visual learner or an auditory learner would be good at. But, you know, there are millions of things that you can do with these learning styles. And then there are additional subcategories over the years. People working on their doctorates, because this is pretty much, as I always say, you know, new information comes when somebody gets a new PhD or an EDD. So over the years, there have been additional subcategories of learning styles that have been created. But if you really think about these as we talk about them, they all basically build off of the top three. Hey, Makia, make sure you type your name in the chat box for me, please, ma'am. The logical learner is anyone that appreciates any type of learning that logically explains the subject matter at hand. And the subject matter could be whatever you're talking about at that point. They are very analytically minded people. That's fine, but a logical learner, there's no different than being auditory or visual or kinesthetic, you know. So like I said, it's gonna build, these subcategories are gonna build off of the basic three. A social learner, these are people that learn better by working in groups and collaborating with others. So that means they're probably what? Auditory and visual learners. Solitary learner, this is the person that prefers to learn by working alone. That means they're not, you know, Doesn't mean, you know, there probably could be hands-on, but it doesn't mean that they're not either auditory or visual either. They just prefer working by themselves. I could be considered a solitary learner. I like working with groups, but I also like working alone depending on what I'm doing. Reading and writing learners. These people learn better by reading and writing. Would that not be kinesthetic? So then you have the verbal learner. This is the person that learns by using poems and word games, as well as reading and writing. These are people that have vast vocabularies. Would that not be an auditory learner as well? And then you have the naturalist learner. These are people that learn by working with and experiencing nature. Kind of runs along the lines of a kinesthetic learner, you know, kinesthetic and a visual learner. So all of these subcategories, you know, they have their distinct differences from the primary three, but you can look at either one of these subcategories and tie them back to one or two or all three of the basic, you know, foundational learning styles. And then how do you determine your learning style? Really not a quick presentation. We are pretty much almost through, but I wanted to get this stuff done because I hope that we don't get another disconnect. But this slide right here is pretty much the midpoint of my presentation. That's why I kind of stopped and said that right there. So how do you determine your learning style? Over the years, with me, learning styles became big once I started teaching online, and a lot of it is because, you know, people even now with the virtual learning going on with elementary and secondary school, everybody learning online, I'm not going to say is not designed for everybody, but there are certain learning styles where learning online is gonna help you more. I'm not going to say hinder, but there are certain learning styles that work really good with online learning. And so when I began in 2005, 2008, I started in 2005, but I actually started working in 2008. But I had to start teaching my students that they needed to know their learning style in order to be successful going to school online. And so what is your learning style? A very effective tool in completing your educational goals and ultimately your professional goals is being aware of your basic learning style of being either auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. If you do not know what your learning style is, please use the following link to take the learning style questionnaire. And if you answer truthfully, you will have your answer in a matter of minutes. The second link can be used by parents to determine their child's learning style if that child is not old enough to answer a quiz by themselves. So the first link, and I actually have that link posted in the, I'll repost it because we disconnected a couple of times. I'll repost this, definitely the first one. But the first link, I've used that one for years with my own students, and basically, whoa, my apologies, I clicked my mouse. The first link, I've used it for years and I know it's worked. I use it on myself, but there are hundreds of free learning style quizzes on the internet. You just got to Google them, learning style quiz, and get an internet connection unstable link. So if it disconnects, I'll just reconnect us again. But if you answer these questions truthfully, and I always say take more than one quiz. If you answer these questions truthfully and honestly about yourself, you should get the same result for all, you know, for however many quizzes that you take. I always say take a minimum of 3 to validate and get the validity to make sure that your result is truthful. And when you become a researcher, you'll learn about validity. You always do things in at least 3s to make sure that whatever result you come up with is actually valid. So I always say, don't just take this one quiz, take 3 quizzes at our minimum and see if you come up with the same answer. If they all come up with the same result, that is what you are. So I have used the first site, misspelled word, look at there, and various learning style questionnaires in various formats, and they have all produced the same result for me and were correct. I am a tactile kinesthetic learner. So I trust this one will work for you as well. You know, and you come up with at least 2 different answers, then there's nothing to say that something's wrong with there. That just means that you don't have any one preferred learning style, and that's fine as well. But for most people, you know, there's a preferred way that you learn best, and it's, you know, the earlier on in life that you know that, the better things will be when you try to learn stuff, you know, as you live. But there also is an issue with learning styles, and important. Learning styles can and often change over time due to the brain constantly developing from childhood through to adolescence and adulthood. Because of this, this leads to the debate that the concept of learning styles is a myth and people can be taught to learn in any way. My opinion, if this is truly a myth, why are studies continuously conducted still on the topic? Over the years, learning styles has been what they call defunct. It's learning styles are, that's just somebody getting a doctorate. These don't really exist, but this, I think they do, and others think they do. Aristotle thought they did. Everybody has a way that we learn best. And people can, there is a thing, and it's because of our brains. Our brains are not fully developed until we hit roughly 24, 25 years. We learn stuff going through the years. Our brains develop in our brain that's responsible for learning and making decisions and all of that type of stuff. Our brains are not fully developed to the stage where we can say we have an adult brain until we're like 24, 25 years old. And it kind of explains it when you think of some of the things that go on, during the teens and the early, adulthoods in the early 20s, So yes, we can say that learning styles that are, that our learning styles will probably change over the years as we grow and experience life. But to say that learning styles are a myth, I'll never agree with that. I'm a very big advocate of learning styles. Then it's something to think about. As we age and our learning style, can the debate be that maybe we should just adjust and adapt to the new and changing ways that we master content? As I was saying, as we grow and as we get older, our brain continues to change. Even once our brain, gets to the whole, it's fully developed by 24, 25. There is still so much about the human brain that even neurologists have no clue. It is just that vast. With all the information that we know about the brain, there is still so much more that we don't know. So yes, our learning styles can change. And yes, we can say that maybe we should just adjust and adapt. Once again, change. The one thing constant in life is change. So things are going to happen. And as we grow and as we experience, we're going to, the brain is going to learn new ways to do things. So the second, I say that to say this, the second part is, can we hypothesize then, once we reach a certain age, our learning style does not change, but becomes set in stone. And we just learn to use other styles to help as we see fit, depending on what we are doing. I'm always kinesthetic. Now, when I was younger, and my mom will say, can tell you better than anybody, I wanted to be an architect. I used to sit down and tape papers together, and I would draw floor plans and all these elaborate things. I wanted to build houses. I did. But the whole drawing thing was the kinesthetic part of me, was the visual part, me being able to visualize mentally what I wanted these houses to look like. Yes. But I have always, and I've thought about this even, with my own learning styles, I've always thought about it. I realized about 7 or 8 years old when I started doing that I was kinesthetic, didn't know what it was, I was 8. But I pretty much have realized, thinking over the years, that I have been a kinesthetic learner since I was 8 years old. Excuse me, give me just a second. But over the years, I have noticed that there are ways that I do learn. There are some things that I just have to listen. I will never be just a visual learner. That doesn't work well for me. Now, does that mean that I can't look at some things and be hands-on and also visually read some instructions and make that work for me? No, that's not what that means. That just means that with me being kinesthetic, I can also use virtual things, and I can also use verbal things to help me learn. But unless it is in my hand, unless I am actually doing it, I'm not going to learn it. So my set in stone is I am kinesthetic, but I can use other learning styles to help me with being kinesthetic to learn new and different things. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing says that I just have to be kinesthetic. Nothing says that my daughter just has to be auditory. Nothing says that somebody just has to be visual. You just have to know what your basic learning style is, and the whole metacognition thing, which, Makia, if you didn't hear, metacognition is basically a big word for how you learn best. How you learn best, I'm sorry. Basically a big word for learning styles. But know your preferential learning style. And let's go with the summary, and I'll get back to some of this in just a second. The summary is: a learning style is defined as the preferential way in which the student absorbs, processes, comprehends, and retains information. There are three basic learning styles: auditory, which is doing, and visual, learning by seeing. The subcategories of learning styles all build in some way from the initial basic three learning styles. Some of those, what we say, were naturalist learner, the solitary learner, the reading and writing learner. Can't remember the others, but those were some examples. And then determining your learn is easy by taking any one of a plethora of quizzes for free on the internet. Excuse me, take more than one to validate your learning style. Make sure that whatever it tells you, take another 2 or 3 quizzes to make sure that you get the same result all 3 times. Even if you don't, that just means that you have various ways, or you're not being honest with yourself. Don't try to force a particular learning style just because you think that's what you are. Answer the questions truthfully. Some of them are questions, some of them are true false questions, some of them are scenario questions, scenarios, I'm sorry, but answer them truthfully. Answer them honestly, and you should get the same result at least once or twice, if not all 3 times. And then over the years, it has been argued that as our brains changes, so does our learning style. And I will agree with that, but I will not agree that learning styles don't exist. That, people, kids can just be taught to learn anyway. People could just be taught to learn anyway. We can learn different ways as we do different things, but I do believe that everybody has a preferential way of learning best. I always will. And here are the references. As always, I do not like to plagiarize, but are there any questions on Leslie with my teams on here? Do you ladies have any questions on anything? If you do, just type them when you go, so I can go ahead and go on to the next screen. Y'all tend to bring up the questions once I've gone past this, so that's fine. Okay. And next week, we are now to our nighttime presentation start. Presentations probably right around there. I'll be doing the presentations at night because school getting ready to start by made it. Almost made it. It disconnected. That just bothers me. But next week we'll start. Let me share. Next week, after next week, everybody is back in school. So I made sure that in September that my slide yeah, my slideshows are at night, so everybody can utilize the information. Can watch, they can. If they don't, that's fine. The links will always be posted. So then here's information if you need, have any questions or anything for educator Bridget at tiac.com. And then I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/Dr. Bridget M. King, EDD, screen sharing, because it keeps disconnecting and it's driving nuts. All right, let me get the link again, because since it disconnected 3 times, initially the first time. Where is my chat box? Oh, here it is. Here is the link to the learning styles, to the learning styles quiz that I use. But you can, like I said, you can Google these and find thousands of them. If not, hundreds, thousands of free, and they're free. Look for the free ones. There are ones that pay. Find the free ones and get that. And like I said, do at least 3. And some of them are short. They have real long ones. They have short 5 ones. They have short 10 question ones. Use the simple ones. It doesn't take, it doesn't take a 20 question questionnaire to tell you what your learning style is. I'm trying to find this. Give me just a second. I'm trying to find see if I can pull up this survey form again. Something is going on with Microsoft. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll email you guys the link, and then Makia, I have Sierra email you the link to complete the program survey for me. I'm gonna go ahead. There's 27 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect because I'm gonna end the presentation because it's disconnected 3 times, and I don't want it to disconnect again. Appreciate you guys. You're here every week. Love you, always will. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm still trying to see if the link. Oh, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Let me get the picture. I forgot. Y'all keep letting me forget to take the picture that I have to use to turn it in. There we go. I have the picture. And don't leave it. I'm trying to get this link to pull up. Like I said, there's something going on with, here it is. Awesome. There was something going on with the website earlier. But here is the link to complete the survey. And if you ladies will go ahead and click on that now. So when I end this, it'll be open in your browser window. And then if you need it again, just text me or call me or whatever, and I'll email it to you. But the first link is the Learning Styles quiz, and the second link, I should have tried to separate them. Why, thank you, Sister Thompson. I have taken the picture. It's 4 of us today. I tell y'all, I don't care if it's 1 of y'all or 1 million of y'all. I'm going to always give a presentation like there's a million people watching. I'm gonna give 3 people the same love I would give 3 million people. I appreciate you 3 more than I would all 3 million. So, and I actually, learning styles is one of the things that I really love because once you think about it and understand and start applying it to yourself, it starts to make sense. You be like, that understand, that kind of explains why I've been doing things this way all of my life. It doesn't, like I said, I'm hands-on. If anybody knows me, when I'm doing anything, learning anything, there's a book in my hand, I have notes in my hand, I have a pen, and I have a highlighter. That's just always been me. And like I said, with my daughter, she's always been good at just hearing things. You can tell her things. That doesn't mean that she's not kinesthetic to a certain degree, but she is preferred auditory. We've learned that when she was like in the 2nd, 3rd grade, maybe 3rd or 4th, maybe at least the 3rd grade. But when you learn best, especially when like Makia and Sierra, when you ladies go off to college, when you know your learning style, you can tailor when you're going to class, and your lectures, like with Sierra being auditory, she may want to record her teacher's lectures, and things like that to go back and listen to and write your own notes. You have to, especially when you get in college, you have to take some of this upon yourself. When you start knowing the way that you learn best, you will start tailoring some things to yourself. Even if your teachers don't do it, you can do it. Like I said, if you're auditory, record your professor's lectures. If you're visual, record them with your phone, and go back and watch them. You have to use this information to work for you. Don't learn this information and not put it to use. Remember the whole thing about last week with the what were we doing last week? Being more efficient. And what was last week's thing? Let me pull it up. It's driving me nuts. What were we talking about last year? Oh, time management. That's what it was. I'm like, what were you talking about last week? Don't learn about time management and professionalism and knowing the best way to communicate and all of that and not put that information to use. Even your senior year now in high school, take this information and make it work for you for your classes for this year. And if you need help, I'm here. Let me know, Miss Bree or Coach King or Dr. King, whatever. Just, if you need help with some stuff, let me know and I'll help you. I'm an educator at heart, things like that. So make the learning styles work for you. Learn your learning style and make it work for you. I cannot put that in anymore. I mean, when I have to tell my adult students, make sure that you learn. We always spend the first 2 or 3, sometimes first week of class, talking to my students about time management, professionalism, and knowing their learning styles. You have to know your learning styles. And a lot of my students, they do, come back and let me know, Professor King, thank you for helping me learn my learning style, because now taking my classes is a lot easier. And for teachers who really care, and I just put that out there, for teachers that really care about their students, they will take the time to learn how their students learn best, and they will multitask and tailor their lectures and the things that they do in class to reach all of their students. I love to walk into a classroom and teachers have posters on the wall, and you can tell that they have an area where they may show slideshows and videos and things like that. And then, you may hear music playing. That's because they have figured out that even if they don't know a preferred way, they're trying to touch on every way of learning. So one of those ways, they're going to reach that student one way, at least one, even if they don't know the student's preferred language, or they're in a class with 45 students, 30, 40 students, and they don't know all 30, 40 learning styles. They do know, a good teacher will know if he or she has different things going on in the class as far as the way they're teaching, they're going to hit all 45 of those students in one or two, or if not all three of those ways. So it's just, adequate teaching, you have to learn ways to reach your students. And my big thing is reach them where they're at, and build from there. Reach them where they're at and build from there. And with learning styles, that helps. So we have 21 minutes left. There are no questions still, and that's wonderful. And a lot of times, to me, in my mind, maybe it's right, maybe it's not, but when there are no questions, that means I have done my job. So without further ado, I am going to say goodbye. I'm first going to say thank you for coming to today's presentation. Next week, tell everybody how to complete a college application, and we're going to use the Apply Texas. Just because we're in Texas, most colleges now, you don't just go to the individual colleges and fill out their individual. The name of the event is Learning Styles. Okay, my typing skills are questionable right now. How do you learn best? Community is 800 link. The unit number is my apartment number, 707 phase 1. What's another question that they ask? Oh, the pillars. It asks you what were the pillars or something like that. It's going to always be education and community building. Will always be two that you pick, and then if there's another, any other pillars, I'll let you know. But when it asks you, it'll be a drop down. It'll say like community, green initiatives, safety and security, education, stuff like that. Always choose education and community for the pillars. And I think those are the main ones. Yeah, the learning styles. Learning styles, how do you learn best, is this week's event. 800 link. It was a virtual event. It's going to ask you for my unit number, and that's going to be 707 phase 1. And then the pillars are going to be education and community building. Okay. All right, and for those of you that registered, that did your voter registration with me last week, your voter registration card should be in the mail either today or tomorrow. When you get it, make sure that you look over it to make sure the information is spelled correctly. If anything was input incorrectly, let me know, and we'll do a new form and make sure that information is updated. I will be taking the voter registration applications that I did this week, received this week, run those down to the Dallas County Elections Department tomorrow afternoon, which is down off of 35 and Regal Road, if you want to know where it is, off of 183, and get those turned in. So from the looks of it, and I'll know after this second week, how fast they came back, but it's looking like Miss Irene, which is the lady who I turn them into, and she's the one that actually inputs the information unless she, gets overwhelmed and needs help. But it's looking like she only needs 7 days to get them back. So if you filled out a voter registration application, your card should be in the mail today or tomorrow. But I'm going to say good evening, good afternoon, have a good day, and I will see you ladies next Thursday. Love you. Bye-bye.